I'd prefer if it was a painting. I don't actually want to get on a horse. Got on a camel when I was in Morocco. Oh, man alive. That's high up. It's a tall old camel, plus I'm sat on the hump, plus it's me on top. We're going down a little incline. Oh, I thought this is it. I thought this is the end of Steve. And it was wobbling back and forth, and I thought, I don't know what to do. If it does start to topple off this little incline, what do? Do I leap off and try and roll Jack Bauer-esque, or do I just let it fall on top of me? I didn't know what to do. I don't know what camel etiquette is. I didn't want to embarrass it. And so that's just a little insight into my Moroccan adventures. 64046 if you've ever fallen off a camel. But thank you very much indeed, Danielle, for getting in touch. I really appreciate it, and we've enjoyed the choice enormously.
You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Danielle.
Okay.
If you are a listener who would like to make a recommendation of songs that I've perhaps not become familiar with, then you can get in touch by going to the website BBCW. Was it www.co.uk? You should know it by now. I find it difficult to say with my Bristol accent. It's the slash and then the 6. It really confuses me. Dan, what's the email?
The email is stephen.6music@bbc.co.uk. That's a figure 6. Don't write it out.
Thanks very much indeed. Each week we've been adding a tune to the Steve Show Songs to Seduce Women by CD. And here's one I've chosen. This might be the oldest track that we've actually played on Steve Show. I'm not sure. From 1958. This is Julie London. And How Long Has This Been Going On? Described as the girl with the come hither voice. That was how she was described, I think, at the first album, which is exactly right, isn't it? The come hither voice. Julie London, and a track called How Long Has This Been Going On from 1958. And we add that to the Steve Show Songs to Seduce Women by CD. We, of course, gentlemen, have to decide which of you is going to the Glastonbury Festival.
Oh, no,
because if you remember, there are 2 tickets, and there are 3 of you. Yeah. And obviously I get to go. They were obviously personally invited by Michael Levis, I imagine. I don't know. but obviously, yes, so we'll have to decide that after the news. Plus we'll have perhaps a final choice from either Rufus or Harry. Ooh. Here's the news. Rappin' Forte and Players Club from his 1994 album Don't Fight the Feeling. The Steve Show, of course, very much a Players Club, but today we've allowed a lady entry for one show only, and we've enjoyed your company very much. Hope, how have you been getting on so far with the show?
That's very good, thank you. Very professional.
Do you think so?
Yeah, more professional than I'm used to, which might tell you something about how unprofessional I am.
You do some radio work, is that right?
I do, yeah, I do.
And what's your station?
Error FM.
Error FM.
Error, yeah, it's not a mistake.
Right, is that, what's that?
That's their catchphrase.
That's their catchphrase, Error FM, it's not a mistake.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And how can people tune into this?
You can find it online, but can I promote my MySpace page?
You have a MySpace page?
Yeah, is that cool?
Excellent.
Everybody's
got
a MySpace page, isn't it? It's www.myspace.com/mind the crack.
Mind the crack? Or
the crack.
Mind,
the crack.
Mind the crack.
Like mind the gap.
Right, but mind the
crack. Yeah, okay. But written C-R-A-C-K, like the drug, rather than the Irish crack.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of a warning.
I hope people made a note of that. It's quite complicated. Man, and what would they find on your MySpace page? Pictures of you and your friends?
Not really, actually. There's one where I cut my hair myself. Which is slightly embarrassing, yeah. And then the repair that the hairdresser did the next day on emergency. And there's just generally there's a few interviews with different people and all the artists that I play on my show.
Okay,
much.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll check it out. Mind the crack.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I might have a few questions for you before the end of the show, so prime yourself for those. But in the meantime, I have to refer to these guys because it's Glasgow decision time. It's tricky. For those of you who don't know, basically, I'm going to Glastonbury. We will be doing. Sorry, hang on. Sorry, you've got to get it out. Hope you've got to get it out. Otherwise, that's an old broadcasting technique there. Otherwise, it just sounds, embarrassing on the radio. So it's best to just clear your throat. Basically, I will be doing the show from Glastonbury, and I can take 2 of my cronies with me, not 3. So it's very, very tricky indeed. The 3 of them there lined up.
It's just cruel.
3 slivers of paper in front of me. Rufus, they're looking genuinely quite nervous. You've never been to Glasgow, and you're looking forward to it, aren't you?
Hugely, yeah. It would be a real... It's too late now to throw you a pitch about why I should be the one to go, why I should be Cinders, but I really would love to go.
Oh, okay, there's 3 slivers of paper. I'm going to allow Fezboy to choose first.
Oh, right. Great. Let me just say, I pay you money every month. I'm going to go for the middle one.
All right. No, don't open it yet.
Okay.
Take it, hand it to him. Harry, choose.
The one nearest Jude, please.
Nearest Jude, this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hand that, please, to Harry.
Oh, I'm scared. I'm actually scared.
That means that, Rufus, that's yours. Let's put Harry out of his misery first. Unfold your paper. What does it say?
Glasto.
Glasto, he's loving it. What does that get his little face?
Does that mean he's going, or does that mean he's out?
Look at his little face.
Webcam proof. I'm holding it up for the webcam. Glasto.
Glasto. He gooned Glasto.
Me
Okay.
against you, Roof.
It's the two boys there. Okay, this is genuinely exciting, isn't it? This is like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Let's put Rufus out of his misery. Open your sliver.
Oh my goodness.
Glasto.
Oh!
Congrats.
What on earth?
Dan, open your sliver of paper.
Okay.
What does it say?
I presume it says fez wearing loser. How did you know I was going to be wearing the fez? Was
you
it some
see-
sort of mind game? What?
No secrets. No secrets from the listeners. I have carefully staged this because actually the truth is that Dan already told me he couldn't make he couldn't get any Glastonbury. So actually you two
We burned you.
yeah.
We burned you.
Pants for nothing.
this is like Beadle. It's like Jeremy Beadle, you've been framed. So exciting. Yes, you two boys will be going, packing up your old kit bag. I imagine.
I'm so excited.
Really?
I'm just going to dress as an old colonial, I think. I'll be there in a pith helmet or in a little kind of shooting stick to sit on in the mud.
Yeah, you'll
I'll
have-
sink, actually, if I will, yeah.
Three people carrying your bags.
Yeah, that's
in
sort
your
of thing.
trunks.
Yes, yeah.
And Harry, are you looking forward to it? Because the last time you went, of course, it was a miserable experience.
Well, this is it. I'm returning to the scene of the worst day of my life. I'm a little bit anxious, but obviously very excited.
All right, we'll enjoy it. Dan, commiserations again. Although, of course, as we say, it was unforeseen circumstances meant that he was never really in the running. And there we
Can
are.
I keep the fez at least?
Keep the fez as a little
Symbol
symbol
of my defeat.
of your defeat and today's bullying. We've not, I'm afraid, got time for a choice from Rufus, but Harry, you've got a song that you'd like to play for us.
Yeah, I have, Steve. It's by a band called Heavy Trash. Now, you remember John Spencer from the Blues Explosion,
I do.
obviously. He's teamed up with Matt Verteray, who was in Madder Rose, an old favourite of ours from a long time back. This album was out a couple of years ago. They've got another one coming out in the autumn, I believe, and they'll be back in London and England as a whole to play some shows. But this was the opening track off their album. It's an absolute cracker. It's called Dark Haired Rider. Yeah, that's Heavy Trash. The track's called Dark Haired Rider off the album Heavy Trash.
I've enjoyed it enormously.
Yeah, now you remember in the last half hour, Steve, we were talking about Jamie Spall, the Spallster. He'd basically met some Doris out last night. He'd got her drunk and pretended that he knew you. And you had to come up with some convoluted thing where we pretended we'd played a track for him,
right?
So this girl would be impressed. He's got back in touch with us because they were obviously both sat listening to it as it went out, which probably didn't work too well. He says, "Yeah, it went badly. She's just left, and she had weird eyes anyway." But thanks.
I'm not sure that's we want more of this information, don't we? I don't feel that's quite a sufficient explanation of what happened.
I would quite like it if every Saturday night Jamie Spall could go out and use this line, and we'll try and sort something out every week and see if he can actually get his rocks off.
It's great. And ultimately, who knows, perhaps I'll have to buy a hat. For Dan, I mean, a novelty hat for Dan. Now, what was I going to do? Oh, yes, before we play our cover version of this choice this week, then I wanted briefly to ask a couple of the questions that I've asked some of our previous She-Jays to you, Hope, because basically I've just pinched some questions from the Guardian Q&A, which they put in the newspaper every week, and just a brief attempt to get to know you a little bit better before the end of the show. So I'm going to ask you these questions, just the first thing that comes into your head. What is your greatest regret?
Oh,
Tricky.
God, yeah. Not getting maintenance money agreed before I left my dad's kids.
Wow.
Maybe.
That's a biggie.
Not getting maintenance money, you just you left and you didn't get that sorted out.
Well, he didn't leave, I threw him out.
You threw him out.
But
sure.
I should have got his bank details beforehand.
Yeah. I feel that there's probably lots of information there we shouldn't probe into. I feel
let's not.
you know,
Let's move
I mean,
on.
that really is a hell of a regret. I was thinking something frothy, like, you once, I don't know, you put your foot through an expensive vase or something by mistake, and you've actually come out there with something really quite...
I don't regret anything else, really, though. Mistakes happen and
Sure.
you learn from them, mate.
Yeah, well, no, it's very, very philosophical. What is your idea of perfect happiness?
Or to be self-sufficient and my kids to be really happy.
Well, that's very sweet. What's your greatest fear?
Probably marriage now.
Well, thanks for coming in. You know, we always like to have someone who kind of who comes in and is cheery and bright and full of life, and you've certainly provided that for us. I mean, I'm very much of the keeping it real. You know, no lies to the listeners. You know, keeping the truth unvarnished. But you've certainly done that.
I was hoping you was going to ask me what my favourite word was, because I hadn't...
Oh, okay. Well, let's do that. What's your favourite word?
Donkey.
Donkey?
Yeah.
Is that a word?
Well, I don't know if it's a real word, if it's in the dictionary, but I remember saying it a lot when I was 15.
You're just making up
What's
words.
your favourite noise?
Donkey. All right, good. Yeah, donkey. Okay. Let's say if you're a Steve aficionado, you make a note of that, donkey, and we'll try and drop that. Or maybe I'll try and get that into the BAFTA speech later. I wonder if I can drop that word in if I was lucky enough to win. Yeah.
Buffy and Donkey.
Buffy and Donkey. Yeah, that'd be a hell of a speech. We've got to play a trail. All right. Off the back of that, we'll have our Mr. Cover choice for this week. BBC Six Music. Me, Stephen Merchant. Steve Show. It's almost over. Each week I like to play a cover of a well-known tune, or perhaps not always well-known, by someone that perhaps you wouldn't expect to be doing a cover of that tune. We have various jingles that we must play. Harry, do yours.
Mr. Cover.
Deeply offensive. Aztec Camera doing their version of Van Halen's Jump. That's our cover version for this week. Pretty much the end of the show. I realised I made a terrible blunder at the very top of the show. I didn't ask you guys what was the most interesting thing that you've done this week. I always like to get that, out of the way early on. I forgot completely. Harry.
Yeah, well, you might remember a couple of weeks ago, my friend Tim invited me to go and see the Maccabees, which would have been last Thursday, but I couldn't go because we had a big party at the bank.
Sure.
Which was huge and very exciting. And given my new status as minor annoyance on the radio, they asked me to do some tunes that we played after the band came on. So you have some very, dull people who don't really understand music, and I laid down some CSS, some Flaming Lips, some Jim O'Rourke.
Ooh.
It was quality, the
Did they
place
go
had
for
never
it?
seen anything like it. Oh, they were rocking.
Were they though?
Absolutely rocking.
Wow.
Good music's good music, Steve. People just don't know where to find it.
Hey, you know the place to find it?
Six Music, the Steve Show.
This is like we've known each other for years and read each other's minds. Rufus.
Steve, you may remember a couple of weeks ago I talked about the fact that I punched Simon de Borchgrave in the face when I was 9 years old. Since then I've been thinking a lot more about my relationship to violence, and I asked my father, who's much posher than I am now, if he'd ever punched anybody. He's hit one person. He hit Ernest Muirs-Raby in the stomach in 1959. They were in Kenya, which my father pronounces as Kenya, and my father was helping the I won't bore you with what my dad was doing in colonial Kenya, but he was busy. He worked for the King's African Rifles, and Ernest Muirs-Raby was being rather racist at a party, and my dad said, "You stop that," and Muirs-Raby took a swing at my dad, missed, a second swing missed, a third swing missed, whereupon my dad punched him in the stomach. It's the only time I'd ever hit another human being, floored him. Then he thought, well, I better go and apologise to the colonel of the regiment, which is what you do if you're a gentleman. You've hit somebody, you go and apologise to whoever's in charge. So he presented himself to the colonel to apologise. The colonel, it was a fancy dress party, the colonel was dressed as Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, on his knees, with a pair of shoes sticking out the front. At this figure, about 4 feet off the ground, and apologised profoundly for hitting Ernest Muirs-Raby in the stomach. And I like to think that the colonel responded with the John Leguizamo style kind of, "What do you mean I'm apologising? Don't be a silly bird."
That's one of the poshest stories you've ever told. I have to hand it to you.
Thanks.
Extraordinary. We had Kenya, we had colonels and major generals. What was the gentleman who got hit?
Ernest Muirs-Raby.
Muirs-Raby.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't. If you are posher than that, then do get in touch. Stephen.6music@bbc.co.uk. Dan, I'm afraid you'll have to tell me the story when we get home.
Okay.
All right, but thank you very much indeed. I'll leave you with Labby Sifri for the end of this week, and that's that. You can get in touch as always with the website and stuff, and all sorts. And anyway, we'll be back soon. Anyway, BAFTAs tonight.
Good luck, mate. Good luck,
cheers.
Stevie.
Thanks. I wasn't fishing.
But I don't mind.
It's the Steve Show, BBC Six Music, Sunday afternoon with me, Stephen Merchant. That's Beck.